Okay, I'm going to talk about communication today. This is part 3. I've done this twice before. First week was about how to get a yes answer from someone. Second week I talked about it was how to plant an idea in someone's mind. Today, this is going back to how to persuade someone, how to get a yes answer, how to get something that you want from them. Once again, this can be considered evil because we're trying to manipulate people. But as I said last week, it's not so much about knowing so that you can do this to others. It's more so that you can stay sharp when someone tries to do it to you guys. So the first strategy I'm going to talk about is called the fear and relief strategy. So what this procedure is about is to create a really intense anxiety or stress in you and then back off, and all of a sudden you feel a sudden relief of that pressure. Now in that moment you are vulnerable, and because you had that stress and it's taken away, you're much more open and susceptible to not think as logically as you might have done beforehand, and more susceptible for someone to take advantage of you. Now I hadn't heard this before. This is a really interesting study. It's called The Blind Man. And so what would happen here is you'd be in a department store and all of a sudden a stranger would tap you on the back of the shoulder. Just come up from behind and you would turn around. No, that's sudden. What's happening? Now someone's grabbed me. They turn around and they'd see that the assailant was, quote unquote, blind man. And he just asked for the time. And you think, well, that's okay, right? That sudden relief. Oh, it's just a blind man. He just wants to know what time it is. There's no problem here. My life isn't in the balance. But, and I said quote unquote blind man. Is he blind or not? You don't really know for sure. He could have a tapping cane and the glasses. You think, okay, he's blind. The blind man's accomplice then comes along and then tries to get you to sign up or make a donation for some political charitable cause. And they found in this study, this was what they did in the study, that the people that were approached by the blind man first were much, much more likely to make the donation afterwards than they were with the control group that didn't have that blind man approach them. Very interesting. Now, we've all watched movies. This is portrayed all the time in the crime shows, the good cop, the bad cop scenario.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm talking about here? The bad cop comes in and says, we've got your ass, we've got it for 20 years, you are going down. And the good cop comes in and says, don't worry about him. Look, you can speak to me. I know what you're all about. Can I get you some water? And that sudden relief of pressure, then you're more likely to spill the beans. The third, to do with this example I have, comes from insurance companies, and I use the term bad managers, where they suggest that your job may be on the line. You may lose your job. But it's okay, don't worry about it. Look, I'm sure we can work things out, and if you can work some overtime, I'm sure we can get over this hump. So that scare, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, then suddenly it's pulled away, that pressure's taken off. We probably won't have to go there, it's okay. Look, why don't you just work some overtime? So that's the scare the hell out of you tactic. Number 2, I'm going to talk about is making you feel guilty. So this is called the social exchange. Now this is where person A gives person B a tangible or a psychological gift. And from that point onwards, that person can approach the person they gave the gift to and said, oh look, I bailed you out before, do you mind, can you do a small favour for me? And use that over and over and over again. Now, this is, you could say, it's sort of evil, but I think it's part of human nature in a way to be giving to other people and to help other people. And I think in some ways this can happen inadvertently, especially when we're in a work environment where we've helped someone out and now you're asking them to help you out, and you sort of feel obligated to do that, even though you may not really want to do it. Okay, number 3 is the foot in the door technique. Now, this one sounds pretty basic, get your foot in the door. So what you do, you ask, the person comes up to you, asks you for a small request. Now, if you agree to the small request, you are much more likely to accept a second request. So this could be someone on the street comes up and they ask you for the time. And this has happened to me. I say, oh, well, it's blah, blah, blah. Then they say, oh, can you spare $1? And you go, oh, okay. I don't. But, thank you, we're much more likely to give in to that second request. Now, I found, I was reading a few years ago, and this was about a company they were to do with something like the RTA. And what they wanted, there were some intersections and busy roads where they wanted to put up signs in the best position, which was on someone's private property. Now, they found if they went to the person and they said, we would like to put up a 4-foot square sign on your property, the people would inadvertently, they would always say no. But if they went to the person and said, do you mind if we just put up a small sign? It will only be about this big on your property, and you'll be doing a good thing for road traffic safety. Most people didn't object. They're quite happy for the small sign. But that's the foot in the door. Because from that point onwards, that person, they create these beliefs that, yes, I'm interested in road safety, I'm interested in helping, I'm a good person in this society. So when the RTA then came back to them and said, oh, you're doing such a good job, we would really like to just put another larger sign there instead of the smaller one, just to make it more visible. They found that much more people were more likely to agree to that than they would have if they had been approached at the very beginning to put that large sign in. So the 3 points that I've covered today, just to go over them. Scaring the hell out of you, the fear then relief technique. Number 2, making you feel guilty, the social exchange. Doing a favour for you, you do one for me in the future. The 3rd one, the foot in the door technique. So I'm not saying do this, but just be aware of them. Thank you.
Wow. Do we have a word? No word.
Oh, I forgot.